Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to World of Warships Legends. You're here on the home of the slightly above average ship review. I have got a match for you today in the Italian premium Tier 7 battleship, the Roma. I know every other content creator's out there with a Azer Lane Littorio dispersion video in the Roma. Don't fall for that. Don't do it. I know I complained loudly and longly ever since the Roma came out that the Roma needed a dispersion commander. But after the release of the Tech Tree Italian battleships, I bought in. The Roma's a brawler. We're here on North Domination Match Top Tier. That's what all that was about. We got the Roma. We're here to brawl. Something else I'm doing in this match, I'm showing you why you should never use the second row skill called Artisan's Touch. We are using it in this match. So the pen ribbons that come up, the hit marker ribbons, the first ribbon is for a penetration. The second ribbon is for, I want to say, I think it's a shatter. The third ribbon is an overpen, and the fourth ribbon is a bounce or a ricochet. So ribbon number one, we want that. Ribbon number three does some damage. The other two ribbons don't do anything. Okay, so I'm going to count the overpen ribbons that we get in this match. First salvo, and we're shooting at the Vanguard. And look, we got a pen. I guess I shouldn't complain. All right. We're just going bow towards the Vanguard, and I think it's the North Carolina that's over there. We don't care. We're a brawler. We're in the Roma. All right, Atlanta pops up. We're going to see how much these shells overpen. All right, there's another one. That's two. Broadside cruiser. You can light me up with all that flame. I just put my bow towards the battleships, and I'm going to get that third gun around, that third turret. 381 millimeter guns. And yes, Artisan's Touch. Look at that. 3 overpens. Artisan's Touch gives you essentially a long fuse shell. It adds 10% to the penetration of your shells, which helps against heavily armored angled targets. And it increases your fuse to detonation by 10% as a penalty. Another overpen. So essentially, I think they just did it wrong. You want the opposite of that. You want 10% less penetration and a 10% quicker fuse time. So what they gave it is the opposite of what they should have gave it, in my opinion. Speaking of giving it, that Atlanta gave us the full broadside, 4 more overpens, but that's kill number 1, first blood. I can't imagine why he thought that was a good idea. Because he doesn't respect the Roma. That's why. And he should. It's a brawler. Look at us. We just put our chin down like a boxer, biting down on the mouthpiece, and we drove towards the bad guys. And we ignored the 2 battleships, and we focused on the cruiser. We took out the cruiser. It had torpedoes after all. So that made it a little bit more dangerous, in my opinion. And now there's only 1 battleship left, the North Carolina. He's given us an angle. We are turning to try to get that third turret online. And there's another overpen. And we are trying to get that turret around. There it is. And you can see this isn't an accurate ship. I want to say with this one, I used the fighter plane in future games. Another overpen. I've been switching to the spotter plane. So when I turn to get that full salvo out, I can at least have spotting in my corner there to slightly help the shell grouping and dispersion. I'm also using Cunningham, 2 more overpens, as one of my inspirations, so that is also a boost to dispersion. So even though we have a dispersion penalty, due to running with scissors. At the end of the day, we're going to make up for that with that spotter plane and with using Cunningham. All right, shooting way downtown here at the Odin. And this is going to be pretty funny for me. We are going to get a couple of cap defenders with no hit markers. So I don't know why those would have been ricochets if they were enough to cause hit markers and or enough to cause cap resets, but they did not do anything in terms of hitting. That seems very odd to me. Just checking our range here, main battery range 15.1. We've got a Talon coming in mostly broadside. We're going to give him the first two turrets. And we got a lion over here, and we're going to shoot at that guy with the rear turret once we get around the island. Nice hit to Citadel on the Talon, and another overpen. Hopefully we can jump this shell over the island into the lion before we line the Talon back up. Another overpen. And we're going to get another overpen on the Talon. And we're going to leave just enough for somebody else to finish them off. Now, in all likelihood, we probably would have killed the Talon if we did not have Artisan's Touch on our commander. So, shooting again at the lion, another overpen, and two more overpens. We're at 20 overpens right now with the lion. Or I'm sorry, with the Roma. And I want to say, as we continue to shoot at the lion, it's just going to continue to hurt our ability to do damage. Now look, he's mostly broadside. When we come back around this rock, he'll be mostly broadside to us. In theory, we should be tearing him up at this point. He is slightly angled, the bow slightly closer to us than the stern of the ship. 3 more overpens, only 1 pen. And I think we had a ricochet there as well. So we're going to go bow onto him here in order to give us a little more defensive capability, although he isn't really aiming at us. And we're going to launch up at the superstructure there. And another pen and another overpen. And I want to say, I think we are going to keep going bow on, at least right now, because I'm hoping I can get a good salvo, finish him off. He is angled to us somewhat. We're going to aim at his turrets. And we get 1 pen and 1 ricochet. So I think aiming at his turrets there probably was a mistake. If we had aimed back at the superstructure, might have had something better, although I thought it looks like it's damage saturated. Shoot one at the bow and another ricochet there. So we'll aim a little bit below the turrets and put out another salvo. 3 ricochets and 1 pen. And so we're likely in his auto bounce angle, so Artisan's Touch doesn't matter at this point. Or his turrets are too heavily armored and we're just hitting. And for some reason, aiming bug, we have lost spot on him. So my shells are going everywhere, so awesome. We're now at 25 overpens so far in this match. And I don't think we're going to have any more because he's dead. So Artisan's Touch, 25 overpens that could have done damage, probably could have killed the lion if we hadn't had that many overpens. And probably could have finished off the Atlanta a lot quicker. So hopefully that makes it clear to anybody that Artisan's Touch isn't great. Now, if you're facing legendary tier ships, it might do a little bit better for you there, but I would tell you that they're going to go right through your armor anyway. So at that point, it is not going to matter for you if you have it or not. Albemarle here, there are no overpens because our first 2 shots were Citadel shots. Devastating strike, kill number 2. And he launched torpedoes. We've got a pretty good rudder shift because we were using running with scissors, even though it was not active because he's dead. And the last battleship out there is the Amagi. He is out of our main battery range. So yeah, you're going to have to endure this if you're in the Roma. You're going to have to Do whatever you can do. Use islands, use screening, use smoke screens, use your teammates, whatever you got to do to get in your main battery range to slug it out with the enemy ships. I had another game in the Roma. I want to say in that game we were down tier, ended up with 300,000 damage, doing a total brawling build, no running with scissors. I'm sorry, no artisan's touch. So hopefully I will bring that to you at some point. But I think the secret sauce here is use D-Revel, use Brawler, use Crisscross, use Firefighter, use Master Mechanic, and use Running with Scissors. And just embrace your role as a brawler and realize that in some matches you're going to have a bad day. That was funny. He died before our shells even got there. At least we got the kill. All right, here we are on my favorite screen, the victory screen. We ended up with the first blood medal, the devastating strike medal, 122,148 total damage, 25 overpens, could have been a lot better, and we had 3 big kills. 415,000 and change for our silver, and 7420 ship XP and commander XP. There we are at the top of the board in the Roma, 2748, and those 3 big kills. Good game by the Wichita, and to a lesser extent, the York. Maybe those were the guys that came with me all the way through Charlie Cap. I do not know. All right, let's take a look at the Roma upgrades. We are using Aiming System Mod 1, Damage Con Mod 2, Target Acquisition System Mod 1, and Main Battery Mod 3. I would never use the secondary upgrades on this because you don't have SAP. Those 90 millimeter secondaries we'll look at in the armament screen, they aren't going to do a lot of damage. And I toyed around with a lot of AA builds in the beginning, but you just don't face enough carriers to justify that. So the reload of your main battery is the most important thing because that's how you're going to be doing all your damage. That's why I run that. And on my current build with the Roma, you have a 22-second reload and a 24-second current turn. You got 5 heals, you got 4 catapult fighters. I believe it is 5 spotter planes if you choose to do that, 4 or 5. We got that Type 9 permanent camo and the Wargaming birthday flag. 65,400 hit points and a 38% torpedo damage reduction with our build. Got those 3 triple 381 turrets, 15.1 kilometer firing range, 22.3 second reload, 28.9 second turn time. So you're going to lose about 4.5 seconds if you put crisscross on. HE shells, 5,100 damage, 24% fire chance. AP shells, 12,000 damage. Got 1290 millimeters. They reload every 4 seconds, do 1,300 HE shell damage with a 5% fire chance, and 4 triple 152s. Reload in 12 seconds, do 3,100 AP damage. The firing range of both batteries is 6 kilometers. I've toyed around with the secondary build. I just don't think it works for the ship, much like a max AA build doesn't work for the ship. Just my opinion. You can see those 90 millimeters do count as AA. This is all relatively short range, though, 4 kilometers and in. So it's not going to do a whole lot for you. If you put everything into AA, you can get that up into the mid 90s. 30 knots, you are relatively fast. 8-10 meter turning circle, 14.8 rudder shift. And concealment, 14.5 in the surface, 12.2 from the air, 13.9 when firing in smoke. Taking a look at the armor viewer, you know, I don't know what you guys thought watching me go through the Charlie Cap, but I was surprised the ship stood up like that. You do have an above water citadel. It's got some heavily armored plates on the front and underneath the turrets. You can see there from over the top of the ship, but it is not a turtleback. You have this plate up in front here, so you can angle a little bit with it. And of course, you got a 32 millimeter bow. Let this torpedo protection back on, get a pretty thick armor belt on the side here, but again, that is not carte blanche to go broadside because you will get the bejesus citadeled out of your ship. Your barbettes and the fronts and the front of the top angled part is more heavily armored. This casemate armor and the other armor is what it is. And that's a look at the Roma. All right, here's our commander, Paladin Rebel. So this build, just go to row 2 and switch Artisan's Touch to Crisscross, and that's the build I recommend. Although I will say Von Hipper, this is meant for the tech tree ships. So if there was ever a cartoon commander that was a clone of D Rebel, I would pick a different inspiration other than Von Hipper. But I'm not changing one inspiration just for one ship. Again, you could run no fly zone. I really don't recommend that. You can see this just isn't beneficial. This ship has an overpen problem. Don't make it worse with Artisan's Touch. Okay. So I wouldn't choose that anymore. And I just did it to show you it's overpen central. And running with scissors, you do a lot more shell damage, better rudder shift. You do pay a dispersion penalty, but again, we're going to offset that in these future games by using the spotter plane. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. You did hit that like button. Subscribe if you want more slightly above average ship reviews.